1912. Nevada Desert. In the depths of a cave, giant bodies with red hair standing over 2 meters tall. Official history could not explain them. Some say these remains disappeared. Some say they never existed at all. But the Paiute people have been telling the same story for centuries. Today we will speak not just of a cave, but of a secret that humanity has been forced to forget. This is a journey stretching from Stonehenge to Nazca, from Gobekli Tepe to the frozen valleys of Siberia. And at every stop along the way, the same question will be waiting for you. What happened to the missing pages of history? Close your eyes and imagine yourself in the middle of the Nevada desert under a scorching sun. The year is 1912. A group of miners makes their way to the entrance of a cave near Lovelock, above a dry lake bed. A cave no one has visited for centuries. Inside it is dark, airless, and filled with an unsettling silence. But that silence will soon crack open one of history's strangest and most disturbing secrets. As the miners venture deeper and their eyes adjust, they begin to see hundreds of objects scattered across the floor. Bones, weavings, ashes. And then comes the thing that freezes them in place. Massive, red-haired, mummified human remains. Not just a few centimeters taller. 2 meters, 2 meters 10, even more. Stop for a moment. Think about it. In the Nevada desert, bones belonging to a race that appears on no page of official history. Who were they? Where did they come from? And more importantly, why did they vanish from the face of the earth? The journey we are embarking on today is not merely the story of a cave. It is a pursuit of a question that has been scratched from humanity's memory, pushed into the corners of mainstream archaeology, yet never quite silenced. Were giants real? And if they were, what happened to them? Now move a little closer to the fire, because this story is long and dark. Lovelock Cave sits in a desolate valley near Nevada's Humboldt Lake, as if chosen specifically to be forgotten. The Paiute people spoke of this cave for centuries, but no one took them seriously. Their oral traditions passed down from generation to generation the story of a race called the Si-Te-Cah, enormous, red-haired, ferocious, and cannibalistic, who were driven into the cave by their ancestors after a great battle and annihilated when the wood inside was set ablaze. A native legend, perhaps, but the tens of thousands of artifacts and colossal bones that emerged from that cave in 1912 suggest this legend had a far more concrete foundation than anyone imagined. While scientific records confirm that some of the bones belong to individuals over 2 meters tall, reports from the Smithsonian Institution and the University of Nevada reveal that most of these remains were distributed to various museums over the years, and that a portion of them simply disappeared. Think about that. Remains that should have been among the most important discoveries in history, gone. Was this negligence or a deliberate choice? And it is here that the thin, taut rope between science and alternative history begins to stretch. Modern radar surveys of areas surrounding Lovelock reveal unexcavated structures and chambers. Satellite imagery captures regular geometric forms beneath the surface of the desert. Genetic tests point to the presence of European and Central Asian haplogroups within certain native North American populations. Data that mainstream archaeology cannot comfortably explain. And as these inexplicable gaps widen, the weight of the questions grows heavier. Our journey now lifts us from Lovelock and carries us thousands of kilometers away to the green hills of Great Britain. The stones of Stonehenge weigh approximately 25 tons each. Some were brought from the Preseli Mountains in Wales, hundreds of kilometers, in an era when the wheel had not yet been invented or widely adopted. Engineering calculations tell us that moving these stones across such a distance would have required thousands of people, hundreds of years, and an extraordinarily sophisticated level of organization. But we do not know how that organization was established. No written record, no leader's name, no blueprint, only the stones and the crushing, spine-tingling silence they create. A group of researchers, among them engineers, architects, and experts in ancient technology, have documented that these structures were placed with a precision that challenges even the most advanced cranes of today. In terms of sound acoustics, the reflection patterns of a voice spoken inside Stonehenge are comparable to the acoustic calculations of the most modern concert halls. Is this coincidence? Or did those who arranged these stones understand sound, vibration, and the frequencies of the universe far better than we do? And to ask that question, we take one more step forward. If the builders of Stonehenge possessed extraordinary knowledge, where did they obtain it? To engrave the cycles of the sun, the lunar calendar, and the winter solstice into stone with such precision requires an observatory-grade body of knowledge. But what was the source of that knowledge, and who taught it to them? Carry that question with you beside the fire for a while, because the answer will take you to a geography far beyond anything you expect. Our journey now takes us from Europe to the heart of South America, Peru, the Nazca Desert, home to one of the world's strangest and most captivating mysteries, the Nazca Lines. Enormous figures etched into the surface of the desert, some hundreds, others thousands of meters long. A monkey, a spider, a fish, a hummingbird, and long, perfectly straight lines cutting across the plains. What makes these lines so remarkable is that viewed from the ground, they make no sense whatsoever. Only from the air, from a certain altitude, do their shapes become visible. The official explanation holds that the lines were created for religious ceremonies or calendar systems. But here we must pause. Why and how? Did the people who made these figures produce art of such perfect precision when they could never have seen its full form with their own eyes? Modern engineering teams using GPS and laser leveling instruments have tested this repeatedly and determined that reproducing the geometric perfection of the Nazca Lines is extraordinarily difficult even with today's technology. So what about then? Who, how, and for what purpose? And now pay close attention, because something happens here. Among the Nazca figures, there are drawings that scientists have described as human figures wearing spacesuits. Astronauts? Of course not, you will say. But the fact remains that we cannot explain those figures through anything we know. Our journey now pulls us to Central America, into the depths of the Maya civilization. The Maya calendar is a system that calculated the cycles of the sun, the moon, and Venus with millimetric precision. Yet the Maya were not merely a people who watched the sky. They were a profound civilization in pursuit of death and rebirth, the cyclical nature of time and the great rhythms of the universe. You may know the tomb lid inside the temple of Palenque, interpreted by some as a spaceship. Archaeology defines it as a mythological scene depicting a ruler's death ritual, while alternative interpretations argue that the figure shown is seated inside a machine, hands on control panels, feet on pedals. Which is correct? Perhaps neither. Perhaps the truth stands somewhere in the middle, in a place we have not yet named. Our journey now draws us north again, to the frozen earth of Siberia. In Russia's Yakutia region, local people have spoken for centuries of Dolina Smrti, the Valley of Death, where enormous metal cauldrons are said to be buried beneath the ground, their dimensions varying from account to account, but even the most conservative estimates describing them as several meters in diameter. Yakut shamans warn people away from these cauldrons, recounting that hunters who camped nearby fell ill and animals displayed behavioral disturbances. Russia has never conducted a full-scale scientific investigation of the area. It remains largely unexplored, and while satellite imagery captures strange heat signatures in certain zones, the public has no access to detailed data. But why? Is this secrecy or simply logistical inadequacy? The questions keep piling up, and when questions pile up, the human mind begins to do something. It starts looking for connections. Why, across the four corners of the world, in periods when no channels of communication existed between civilizations separated by thousands of kilometers, Did such strikingly similar structures, such strikingly similar mythologies, and such strikingly similar astronomical knowledge emerge? The architectural resemblances among the Egyptian pyramids, the Maya pyramids, Sumerian ziggurats, and certain temple complexes in Asia seem too many to be coincidence and too systematic to be independent invention. There must be an explanation, and science has not yet offered one that satisfies. Perhaps there was a lost civilization. Perhaps Plato's Atlantis was not a myth, but a poetic rendering of historical reality. Perhaps a great catastrophe, a flood, a volcanic winter, an asteroid impact, wiped all of this knowledge away in a single blow, leaving behind only stones, pyramids, and indecipherable lines. Our journey now brings us to southern Turkey, to Göbekli Tepe, a place that changed everything because it overturned one of the foundational assumptions of official history. 12,000 years ago, in an era when humanity was not yet supposed to know agriculture, someone here erected enormous stone pillars carved with animal reliefs, symbols, and geometric motifs. The scale and complexity of the structure lies far beyond what small groups of hunter-gatherers living a village life could have produced. Klaus Schmidt, who discovered Göbekli Tepe, said for years, "First came the temple, then the city." Sit with that sentence for a moment. Perhaps civilization did not develop slowly and step by step as we assumed. Perhaps it began from a place, from a moment, even from a single person or group, and perhaps those people, or that group, were equipped with a knowledge we can today only imagine. Only 5% of Gobekli Tepe has been excavated. The remaining 95% still lies beneath the earth, and radar shows that even larger structures, and potentially older layers, are waiting below. We do not know what we will find, but we know this: every new excavation forces yet another page of official history to be rewritten. And the process of rewriting is not merely an intellectual exercise for humanity. It is a question of identity. Who are we? Where did we come from? What did our ancestors know? These questions wait for us beneath the stones, in the depths of caves, in the lines on the surface of deserts. Let us return now to Lovelock Cave, because returning to the beginning of a story sometimes lets us see its meaning more clearly. Those enormous red-haired bodies, together with the ashes pressed into the walls of that cave, left us not only a physical mystery but an existential one. If these people were real, if they truly lived here, what became of them? Why were they erased from the pages of history? And if that erasure was intentional, who carried it out? The Paiute connected them to evil spirits. The Bible, in certain interpretations, spoke of the Nephilim. Ancient Greek mythology told of the Titans. Sumerian tablets wrote of the Anunnaki. Across the world, in different cultures, different languages, different gods, but the same story. Beings who came from the sky or somewhere else, distinct from ordinary humans, possessed of extraordinary powers. Did all of these myths arise independently of one another? Or did they all take shape in the shadow of a shared reality we no longer remember? Perhaps the deepest truths are hidden not where science has yet to reach, but inside the stories whispered between generations across millions of years. Perhaps a legend told by your grandmother's grandmother's grandmother is the most faithful guardian of a truth still lying beneath the earth today. And that is why these stories matter to tell, not only for curiosity, not only for mystery, but to understand ourselves, because if we want to know who we are, we must begin not from where we stand, but from where we came. Close your eyes. Stand for a moment at the entrance to Lovelock Cave. Feel the heavy, ashen, 1,000-year-old air drifting out from within, and ask yourself quietly, if history is far more complex than we imagined, if the story of humanity reaches back not hundreds, but thousands of years further than we thought, does that change us? Whatever your answer, the stones are still there, silent, patient, waiting for the one who will one day ask the right question.